Welcome back to another episode of
Merendiando.
This week we are featuring a conversation with Andres Sierra, an incredible artist born and raised in Toronto. They are a Colombian-Canadian dance pop recording artist and trans activist who has gone on a huge journey. They describe themselves as a queer pop star from the 22nd century, which is like
Amazing.
really amazing.
In this conversation, we talk with Andres about their journey from finding performance as a child, their first entry into the pop music industry, and how their approach to making it as an independent artist has evolved and transformed up to today.
It was a really deep, delicious conversation, and it had to be fueled by delicious food. So for that, this week we went to Tacos al Asador. Have you heard of it? Have you been there? You should go.
It's amazing. And to tell you how amazing it is, we had a vegan, a vegetarian, and a person who loves meat, and we all got amazing food.
Yeah, we were all very happy with what we got. They are a mix of Mexican and Salvadorian cuisine, which is just absolutely delicious. So you can get pupusas and tamales and tacos and just be happy, like all in the same place. It's right by Christian Bloor. You should definitely check it out.
If you wanna, we'll accept if you pause this episode for 1 second, go get yourself a pupusa or a taco, and then just dive in.
It's the only way to listen to this episode. It's true.
We have an amazing guest with us today, Andres Sierra.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us today
Thank you for having me.
at the dinner table.
At the dinner table, just had these great tacos and pupusas. Thank you so much, y'all.
Yeah, no problem. From Tacos El Asador, Christian Bloor. Great place. Andres, thank you for coming and speaking with us. We're really excited to talk to you for many reasons. One of them is you have a single coming out at the end of March.
I do. It's sometime in March. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's happening very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's start from the beginning.
Okay, before we get into that.
When did you say, I'm going to call you because I saw this in an interview, a queer Latinx pop star?
Yes, from the 22nd century.
So much to dive into there.
Yeah. My whole life, I guess, like I was really reflecting on this a few days ago because somebody had asked me and trying to figure out, like, are you born with talent? Like, what is that? Like, wait, how was I predetermined to do this? Because like, that's a question I ask myself a lot because this is really fucking hard. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you're constantly questioning yourself and your actions and your life choices. And out of everything that played on television, you know, of me being in front of it in the playpen, watching Madonna's Blonde Ambition tour had me just like frozen and just had me fixated between that, Tina Turner on tour, and Pavarotti. Those are the three things.
Yes.
The
Drama.
three
Influences
performance
you?
videos that my parents had on VHS that they would record themselves, you know, back in the day. And I would watch it and they would just like have me in a trance. And then my dad, who like really loved music, I would just start like telling him that was a wrong note, you know? And he was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then one day he brought me to his vocal lessons and I loved it so much that he gave up the lessons so that I could take them. And after that, it was nonstop.
Yeah, nonstop train till right now.
Yeah. So I guess that's when I decided, but I don't even think I decided. That was not me. Or I mean, it was me, but like...
There was no decision.
Something beyond. No, there was no decision.
I think
Yes.
it's like falling in love.
I guess.
Yeah, because if I think like the moment I was like, this is like a real watch, is like watching a theater show, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want in.
Yeah.
And
It's so
there's
important
no
not to
Yeah.
turning
I don't
back.
know what this is, but I want in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So you work now in like pop music, which is so fascinating, but you've gone through a couple different performance arts on the way here. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Like, how did you arrive at dedicating yourself to pop?
Yeah. It was one of those things that like I actually gave up on because I didn't think that I was going to do it because by 18 I wasn't Justin Bieber, and that meant that I was a failure. So
I love how we measure failure in this career. It has to do a lot with age.
age. Oh yeah, the ageism
Yeah.
in this career, in this industry, and so
Yes.
insane. Like I've been seeing like just recently like a more push for like middle-aged people like achieving things
Yeah.
and like doing things,
Celebrating their victories.
celebrating their victories that like hit them after like 60 years of living. You know what I mean? Like we need to see that because like our industries are so obsessed with youth and that if you don't make it in time, then you expired really quickly. And so that was in my psyche and made me believe that I couldn't do it. And I've been doing this my whole life. I was in a kids TV show at 10 years old, and that was like my first like
What?
like taste of like lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
Like,
What show is? I
it
didn't
was
grow up
called
here. but I
Ricky's
wanna-
Room. Ricky's Room. It was a Canadian Barney. It ran for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
We filmed at in a studio in New York University. We got paid $250 for an episode, so like 7 days, 7 days of work, full days.
Yeah.
My mom was pregnant with my sister at the time, and she would like just bring me every single day
Oh my god.
to set. I was living the dream, of course, and then I was with all these kids who were like, you know, like dancers or all these things, and I was like, I want to do that and all that kind of stuff. And that like a few years later is when I started to like take some dance lessons, which at the time was just recreational dance. That like I remember I started taking only because it was the only day that I had free was a Friday. I was like in just way too many things. I was in vocal classes, theory, piano, swimming, choir, and then like by the time I got like bit by the dance bug, it was just like, well, you only have Friday left, so
Whatever
what's
fits.
what's on Friday?
Yeah.
We got junior jazz, and we have a tap opening. Want to take time? I'm like, fuck yeah! And
Amazing.
and yeah, I was just like an overachiever. I wanted to be good at everything, and I wanted to be as well rounded. And I mean, it was my defense mechanism. Like, you know, it was the thing that like made my bullies appreciate me. You know, like you can't deny my talent, bitch. You can't deny the skill that it takes to do what I do. And so that was like my
I
armor.
love that. I was like, you want to bully me, but I'm amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll be like, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I love also, as you've been talking, is like your parents' dedication to see you succeed. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're first gen.
Uh-huh.
From where?
From Colombia. Mi mamá es from Cali, mi papá es de Medellín.
So I think that's so beautiful, like a story of like if they come here to give you a better future, they will work to give you that.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful.
Yeah, the support is wild, especially like the immigrant story usually entails like immigrant parents forcing like the rigid go-to career paths, you know. But my parents just very much saw that this made me happy and that I was really good at it. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if what would have happened if I loved something that I wasn't good at. Like I think about that too, because like growing up in music school, because I went to a separate music school and I was competing my whole life, is seeing the whole spectrum of like children and the reasons for them being in my vocal class. So there was me who like really loved it and had the amazing support of my parents, and my parents never like made me feel bad for like losing, you know. Then you have the kids who were really good as well, loved it, but their parents were like Nazis about, you know, their competition life, and like if they lost, like ooh, like you're gonna hear from them. And like, you know, I know somebody who stopped doing all that because that was just so much for the kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you have the kid who like is not good at all, cannot hear the note, but like mother is like obsessed with their child being a singer. And so then like it's just years and years of just like constantly trying to like make your child do something that like they're just not going to be able to do. The vocal cords are not there. Like, so like, what do you do to that? And I guess that went back to like me thinking, it's okay. So like, was I born with this? But like, vocal cords are muscles. So like, you can learn things to do, you know what I mean? But like, at the same time, like, I just don't know. I really don't know.
Well, clearly you were doing it. I mean, it seems like you were doing it for your own pleasure, like your own satisfaction in learning, which is super beautiful. And then, so you went to a separate music school outside of like your day school?
Yeah.
Cool. And then you went after high school.
Which was an arts high school as well.
Also, themes, y'all. Etobicoke School of the Arts?
No, Cardinal Carter Academy for the Arts.
Cardinal Carter Academy for the Arts.
I'm so amazed that here in at least Toronto they have that. But like when people started telling me like I went to an art like high school, I'm like, what? Like
What?
fame?
Those
Like,
Except,
like,
yes.
like
Yeah.
rebelde way. And like, I don't know. I was like, I saw it in the TV once. It was like incredible.
Yeah, Toronto has a lot of like resources for arts and young people wanting to do art. Clearly.
Even though they've been trying to convert that high school into a regular high school for so long. It's been a constant fight with the board, the Catholic school board, always trying to chop off the resources. Like, it's constantly like, again, we were saying earlier, like this constant having to like prove of like the benefits of like the arts to, you know, the elitists.
Cool. So then after high school, you went to college.
I went to college, Sheridan.
Yes, that's where we met.
Yeah.
So we both have a degree in music theater performance from that. And
Yeah,
how was that
yeah.
experience in your like your trajectory now looking back? Like how did that help you come to where you are now?
I think that place had a lot to do with my like inner self growth and more as an individual and an artist as well. I mean, like, you're going to benefit from high level quality training. And like that, I can't deny. Like the dance training that we had there, the vocal training that we had there, like, you know, it just was really intense, you know, and I did like become a better artist. But I was very quick to realize after I graduated, like, that I got caught up in the hoopla of like wanting to get signed to an agent and wanting to get a job right out. And I was like, when it all like kind of came, I was like, oh my God, this is not what I want. This is not what I want at all. What I wanted to do was my own music. I wanted to make pop music. I didn't like how rigid music theater was and still is today, you know? And so being able to like finally pursue that was very scary, and I got myself into some crazy things. But I guess no regrets.
You got yourself into some crazy things.
I did.
And like, what are you referring to?
I didn't understand the music industry at all, and like really what it is.
Totally. I wonder, like, because now you can get degrees in like business, music business and stuff, which it might have been cool to know at that time, but
yeah, but it's, I mean, like, yeah, it would have been great to know how to run my own business as an artist, as an entrepreneur. But I think more than that was really like the nature of the beast of the music industry, the pop music industry, the commercial music industry, and what that is like, and like how literally they don't care about you. They just care about the money that you can make for them. And like, you know, the world's biggest artists, like the handful of those people who dominate the charts, those are the ones that are like keeping these labels alive, and they keep like all the smaller artists on these labels alive. And all these smaller artists don't get any love from their label, and they just kind of get shelved, you know, because like they're not of as importance to them. So a lot of artists' industries have been, a lot of artists' careers in that world have been destroyed through the magic of labels and corporates and all that stuff, because you have to play a game. And for the longest time, that meant, you know, playing that white heteronormative cis standard of what I meant to be a male pop star, you know, quote unquote.
totally.
And, you know, I remember like trying to eat so much so that I can like gain weight and get muscles so that I can have those abs that when I, you know, so the girls, because the teenage girls that's the demographic we all want, you know what I mean? Like, those are the ones who are going to buy your shit and all that kind of stuff. And it's like,
were you told this? Like,
yes,
yeah.
yes. I was fed this, and there was a lot of like like reality to it, because like the industry has done such a good job of manipulating the masses through music, you know, and controlling the narrative through music. But as thanks to the internet, and as we connect more on a global level, and as we wake up and realize to like the sham of the lie that we've been, you know, conditioned to believe, like
plot was real.
yeah. Oh, art imitates life, bro. Like, it's insane. So, all those things, like, you know, got me to where I'm at today, because, like, now I'm a stronger individual.
Yeah.
But being Latinx, being trans, in that world and wanting to be set free, like, I was in a costume. I was and I was in a costume 24/7 because I was told that I had to be on 24/7. So even when I was working my job at David's Tea, I still had to be on. I remember, like, you know, something as simple as, like, you know, a little dangly cross earring that I was wearing way before all y'all hosts started wearing it. Like, I'm talking about Justin Bieber, Ty Dolla $ign. Like, when it became normal for straight men
Like
to wear,
they sell them
you
at
know,
Brandy Melville or Urban Outfitters
right?
now, like before that.
But when I was wearing it in 2012, 2013, I was getting into full fights with my team, you know? And it was so, like, insane. And, like, I was developing PTSD of, like, being caught, you know, off my game, of, like, oh my God, they're gonna catch me when I'm, like, relaxed and queer, you know? And so, like, I would, like, go to work and I would have, like, another piece that I put on, but, like, if I knew he was coming, I'd take it off, you know? Like, if he was, and then I would change my demeanor and the way that I operated, you know? Like, this life that I was constantly, like, filtering everything that I did for the fear of being caught, like, that is not a way to live your life. So, like, once I became just, like, so depressed, constantly anxious, I was falling apart. Like, it was insane. And it wasn't until, like, I left all of that and I had to start from the ground up to just, like, build myself up again. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how does House Arrest, your debut album?
That was my debut album. Yeah.
Last year it got released.
Yeah, I think the irony of the irony was that I didn't name it House Arrest, but I was on house arrest.
Yeah.
And that whole, like, part of my life, like, that music, like, we recorded through the 5 years that, like, we began, and then it accumulated to becoming that. And there were so many, like, barriers that I was working with, that also, as I reflect, makes me realize, like, how quick and good I was from, like, 6 years old at, like, adapting for survival. You know? And as I, like, unpack my gender identity at 28 years old, trying to really dig through, like, where my dysphoria comes from and, like, where the real pain comes from, it's like trying to go so far back into my consciousness to a time where, like, I was free is really, like, scary to get there and to, like, imagine, because, like, I never saw myself. I'm reading a book right now called Trans Kids by, I think their name is T Meadow, and a story in it really, like, made me, like, impacted me, where a woman, Christine, she was a teacher in the Deep South in the States, like 2009, okay? And she adopted these two children who were foster kids that had been passed from family to family to family. Anyway, long story short, one of them was gender nonconforming and identified as a girl. And, you know, she'd tell her mom, she's like, I have a girl voice, I have girl hands, I have a girl mind, I do girl things, you know? And one day she, like, came home to find her daughter in her washroom trying to do something to herself. And it happened because earlier that day, like, she was, I mean, kids are so evil, right? And so, you know, she sees herself as a girl. And this other girl in class, like, pulled down her pants and was like, no, you're not a girl. You have a penis. Girls have a black hole. And she, at that moment, she thought everybody had penises.
Oh.
She thought we all had the same parts.
Yeah.
And then that day she goes home and she's trying to cut it off.
Oh. Woof.
And I'm like, fuck, that moment for that child. Like,
Yeah.
I just think about it. I'm like, imagine if we had women and men of the whole spectrum fully represented the entire time. This child would not have felt the need to mutilate themselves to be able to be the woman that they are. Like, it's no questions asked. What if we like didn't have clothes to be able to express our gender? Then what? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, when I think about transitioning, you know, every day, and I think about like, you know, the things that give me dysphoria with my body and my gender, I'm like, I'm packing it. Why? And it's like, yo, I don't need a fixin', bro. Society needs a fixin'. Like, we've been here. We've existed since forever, since the beginning of time, you know? And like, even everything I've ever known about trans people has been seen through the cis lens.
Yeah.
And like all the the academia and the science, like this crazy ass bullshit. Like, I just met somebody else, another trans woman, and I got to know her story a little bit, and she was of the last generation of people going through transition where like they had to go through a psychiatric evaluation, and doctors had to confirm that she was in fact trans. And when she told me that, I was like, you have a whole bunch of old white men, really, looking at this child who is just trying to be.
Yeah.
And was like, before you get the help that you need, we're just gonna like, you know, diagnose you, make sure that everything is
Make
fine,
you question
and like
yourself
makes
at
you
every
question
corner.
yourself at every corner under our guise and under our standards.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's such a huge journey, Andres. It's so
Yeah.
it's so important. I'm so excited for you that that's something that you can talk about with more specificity now, and like that we can talk about it. And it seems like from your like debuting as a pop musician to now, there's been a huge journey with that as well, and like how you want to present the kind of music you want to share. So like, for example, in your most recent music video you just dropped, oh my goodness, it's beautiful. It's a short film, basically. And you're styled so gorgeously, and you look so free.
Oh my
Like,
God.
you just, there's something so natural about you, and it's very different aesthetically. Like, actually not very different, but like, I guess gender-wise, it's different presenting than
It's
in
very
like...
gender non-conforming. It's very like, it's just like, this is it. Like,
Compared
this
to
is
your
just-
first music video that was
Oh
released,
my God,
it's just
yeah.
so different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how does that feel for you?
Oh, it feels amazing. Like, to finally be able to do something that like actually represented who I am.
You got some Factor funding for it?
I
Is that
did.
right? Cool. So
I was blessed with a Factor grant for this album, for this project, and it came at a beautiful time because I went on a medical leave for my mental health last March. It's going to be now a year since I haven't had steady flow of income. And when I went on that leave initially, I had nothing going for me. I had no music. I had nothing. Like, that Hearts on Fire music video wasn't even a thought yet. As I immersed myself kind of like back into the community, the queer community, and started kind of dabbling again, like back into the music industry.
yeah, how was it taking those steps towards making the music video happen?
So there is a company called Canada's Music Incubator, CMI, and I saw them through a post on my Instagram by somebody that I followed. And so I went in to look at it, and it was like they had this free boot camp out in Barrie. It was like a 2-day intensive of like learning how to run your business as an artist. It was an artist entrepreneurial boot camp.
Amazing.
And it was free. And so I signed up, and I was like, okay, and I got accepted into doing it. And that was going to be like my first kind of comeback into the industry. Okay, how am I actually going to do this? And I remember wearing my heels. I had my hoop earrings, and my dad was like, are you sure you're going to wear that? And I was like, yes, I am. I'm like, if I'm doing this, I'm coming in like fully as myself. No ifs, ands, or buts. And if they don't like it, then they don't like it. Then maybe this is not the space for me. But I'm sick and tired of having to like pretend to be something else to get to a place that I think I'm gonna get to. No. And that place was so amazing. I learned so much. It was very validating for me, and it was so refreshing to hear these people who are in the industry talking about the importance of authenticity. And I was like, my God, this is such a whole different like experience to what the world that I was like, you know, put into before. And that was kind of like gave me the first kind of like courage to like do some stuff. And then I applied for the grant, and I was blessed with it, and it was like, oh my God, I can actually make this happen. And then before you knew it, like, I had the song, I made a little demo on my computer. I found a producer from Sweden. I sent it to him, and he was like, yeah, I can make this work. And then he sent it back. It sounded like that, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I like dreamt up the concept of the music video. I was inspired by Janet Jackson's Rock With You, which is kind of like a one-take video. I think it's like cheated to make it look like a one-take video, but that's the vibe that I wanted. And when I asked to Leon Blackwood, who choreographed and directed it, I said that is my inspo, but I want it to be like open and bright instead of like underground and dark.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I know a place. And so he sent me the link to Objects, which is like this creative studio that's not far from here. It's at Keelan St. Clair, right at the Stockyards. And it was a perfect space. And it had these big windows. And I'm like, oh my God, like I want a one take. And there's going to be like a sunset and blah, blah, blah. And working with like the team, there were so many like obstacles to even make it happen. They were like, no, we shouldn't do it as a one take. It's going to be too hard, and it's going to be more expensive, and the lighting will be difficult, and we're going to be working with natural light. So it's like, if you want that sunset, like we have, you know, like it was just so insane. But we planned it out, and after 5 takes, we were like, we're done. We have our take, and then we're like, why don't we just do one more, just for fun? And that ended up being
The one.
the one.
I have so many follow-up questions from that. Number one, something you
Yes.
always do is you bring like a troupe of clean, slick dancers with you.
I
Like
know.
it's a production. And what is that for you? Like now hearing you say that Madonna and Tina Turner are inspirations for you, like definitely the big group numbers with like really choreographed
Oh my God,
dances.
yeah. And like Britney
Like-
Spears being like my biggest influence too. Like, you know, it was just like, that was the standard. That's what I expected you had to do as a pop star.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
hello,
once, and now
it
it feels
was.
like it's
and then
shifting.
fizzled out as like pop stars became lazy. No tea, no shade, you know? Like it just became like, I'm gonna stand here and in some extravagant outfit, you know, and gonna have all the dancers do all the work for me, and all the visuals do all the work for me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just not how it is. And
Uh-huh.
that's not how I want to be either. So like I take pride in the fact that like I can sing and dance. I think going to music theater school was such a good thing for that. You know what I mean? Because it really like made me work on that, and was like, yeah, it's doable.
Yeah. And it's a craft in itself. Like it's like a different genre of pop now because it's not
Yes.
the mainstream anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
super
yeah.
beautiful.
And it's also the whole aesthetic, because now, like for me, when I see your work, I have this idea of like, this is Andres Sierra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
such
true.
a like, this is it.
Singular, like
Wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked. That's great.
But also I feel like now that I talk to you so much, I was like, you have that standard, it's like there's nothing below.
No.
And if it's go there, then we don't present it.
No.
Which I like love.
No.
And it feels
Yeah.
so Latinx too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's like, yes.
we're gonna hustle to make this excellent.
Yes.
Actually,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of happens when you're not given when you don't have the same resources or platform as some of the other people, you know, would have. And like, you end up, I guess, like, you know, being these different things forces you to work so hard, you know, because you're just not privileged enough to not work hard. That's really what it is. Yeah.
And you are also like the boss of your own production company, essentially, too.
Sierra Entertainment.
Yeah. So what is the idea behind this company for you?
Yes. This company is really to create works with artistic integrity at its forefront, and to spread like love and truth through our stories and our art, you know? Like, the dream is to be a company that can just fund projects that I believe in. Like, that's it. And just like, oh, I love this artist and their work. What do you need? And that's it. I don't want to involve myself in anything else, because like, if you allow people to work and just be free and express, like, that's when you get the greatest things. I don't want to create like things that are too have an ulterior motive or a hidden agenda, which right now it's just for money and corporative reasons. You know what I mean? And I want to change that, because like, we need to take back art from that commercialized corporate world, because they just use it as a tool to just like sell whatever they want, or you know,
I
which
love
is
that.
fine, because like, we need to sell shit and we need to consume things, but how do we do it in a way where we're not like taking advantage of people? Like the way that I saw Justin Bieber beg his fans to like stream Yummy, buy Yummy, all these things, and it was just like, yo, like, you're preying on these like fans who really love you, and you're asking a lot from them to pull all these stops for what? So that your ass can go number one? And then what? If you had to do all that just to get to number one, you're gonna feel good about that number one? And you're just going online being like, oh, just like working so hard on my end just because like I really just want that number one. And I'm like, oh, poor you, like, bitch, come on. I hate that shit.
Totally. I love that you use the words love and truth, because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, some people could see it as like super naive. Like, what does that even mean? But it feels really refreshing to hear that right now to me, because I'm like, the world's so dark.
Yeah.
Everyone's
I know.
depressed and sad.
Girl,
and
when you saw me, you're like, how you feeling? I was like, I'm just tired.
Yes.
I'm just tired.
Real
like,
though.
There's just things that bog down on your life on a day-to-day basis, and like, how do we change this into the future?
Elevating those ideas with your production company is like so beautiful. It's so cool. And you had your first event last month.
I did, yeah. It was called New Market. New Market, yeah.
What was that like?
And it was this like pop-up experience that blended like curatorial practices used in contemporary art and performance art. So I collaborated with other up-and-coming Toronto artists of different mediums, and Plastique Famille, which is this like artistic entity that I've been working with, who are Mexican as well, which is great. It's so cool because like the team that I work with just like ended up becoming Latinx. Like it just happened, you know? And it feels so cool to like be in meetings and just like throw out Spanglish and just throw out like the Spanish so easily, and it's just like, yeah, you know, I'm like, this is so cool. Anyway, they're amazing. They've been responsible for like all my visuals since I dropped Hearts on Fire and my aesthetic. And they curated Objects, which is the space that I filmed the music video. I was doing lots of stuff there. And we like kind of curated an experience for the patron where the artist got to sell and showcase their work, but it was put in a contemporary art way. So you're looking at as art, and then with a headlining musical act, which was myself. And so I did a little set with dancers, backup singers.
Yeah. Cool. Like mixed media.
Yes, mixed media.
Very beautiful.
We all need each other, you know? So it's like to have that cross-pollination of artists and industries within the creative field was really awesome, because I got to like grow my audience, a bunch of people that I've never met before, you know? Because they all, like all the artists brought their own peeps and crew and stuff like that. So yeah, photographers met designers, met jewelers, you know, like met singers. There's a few things I want to do actually that are in the pipeline and dream. One is that I want to create a really queer event in Scarborough, in the East End.
Yes.
That's where
Celebrate,
I'm at.
not the core.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And I know that I grew up with no representation in that area. And I think that would be really, really cool. Because like it's about like not being confined to queer areas. Like that's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like we are in every space. Like you know, so that's something I really want to do. And I also want to create a queer Latinx party where it focuses on like our cultural music, to be able to enjoy that without like the heteronormativity and machismo of our culture that exists in like those spaces.
Yeah, yes. Monica and I are interested in like how people innovate and keep the fire alive of cultures as we are changing them, as we are forming them. It totally seems like that's something you naturally do.
Also, we need a Latinx party.
We
Because I remember
do.
I used to go to church on church. Every Saturday was like a Latinx night. And then that closed and it was like,
I used to go to El Convento Rico every year for my birthday, and now it is just like bachelorette, single women and single men going out there to prawn on women.
Yeah.
Like what? It was just like so bad. It's just like queerness as a commodity.
That's the thing, is like we have like 2 spaces and then other people take them, and the people who run them, they think, oh, I need the money, so I'm not even gonna help you carve the space back. That I was like, where do we go?
Yeah.
So I sometimes just look for
them.
the DJs of the night. Like I know DJ Sophia Fly will always play some Latinx music, but then I'm like, I can't follow you everywhere.
Yeah,
Except
I just really want a
you
place
can.
that's going to play me some salsa, some cumbia, some merengue, bachata, like all that shit. You know what I mean? And that just doesn't exist right now. So that's what I want to create.
Amazing. Just bring the right people together, because like Toronto has so many good ingredients, but we need visionary people who can see how to combine them. Nice.
It's just now a matter of making it happen. All these things cost so much money, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, how am I even planning these things? But again, I still don't have a job. And like, I'm only limited to the grant related stuff that I have to do with my album. So I don't know. I make things happen somehow.
Yeah. It's just like collaging your life, figuring out how it's going to work. You, Andres, like all the different intersections that you do in an industry that's so capitalized. Yeah, it's
I
really
realize
commendable.
that I'm like, wow, like I'm fighting against a huge beast, and I'm really creating my own industry from the ground up. So it's like kind of wild to like actually put that into perspective, because like for so long I wanted so much a piece of that, right? And I guess I still do, because like you just understand that money makes the world go round, and money in my life would just make my life so much better.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's just like it's not, and it's weird that saying that, I feel ashamed of saying that, but like there's no shame in like understanding that.
No.
That's just a fact, right? But I mean, like we are taught to like
not talk about money.
not talk about money.
Yeah, and not actually critically examine like the things that we engage with to get it.
Yeah.
And how to even get it right, and how to save it. Like just talk it. Like I know with my family being, I'm also first generation, and like I think that they just wanted me to be happy, and it's like I would love to have sat down and be like, how do you afford to be here from not being here? Like how do you save money? How do you do all this
How
stuff?
do you afford happiness?
Yeah, like how do you prioritize when you're working from zero?
Well,
and you just arrive here?
we know like through statistics how much money an individual needs in the city to be able to like live comfortably, and that's looking at $90,000 a year, which a lot of people don't make. Like I have like in my riding, in my area, the Don Valley East, like there are thousands of people who make less than like $1,000 a year, bro. And like that's wild to see, like that's in my area, you know.
Whoa.
And in the same area you have people making more than $500,000 a year, you know. So like that to me is unacceptable, and it's just our government's letting us down.
Yesterday we were talking about how we have at least, like as artists, you have at least 4 jobs on the go.
Yeah.
all of the time. It's like I have my day job, and then I have my artistic job, and then I have another job if the other jobs fail, and then I also apply into grants just in case something fails. But I also save some money because you never know. And we're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Like you
It's
can
a
do a
lot to
show and then
handle.
run, like change clothes and clean that space. Like I've
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah.
It's
a
amazing
lot.
what we do.
Yeah. As long as we can find some like laughter and joy while we do it and not get too bogged down with the like intensity, it can be really beautiful. It can be really fun.
The world needs us.
When I met you, we were doing this show that has a lot of ballroom in it. Are you part of a house?
I
here?
am part of a house.
I
The House of Siriano.
Okay.
Yes.
How's the ballroom scene in Toronto?
Oh, it's amazing. It's so amazing. I mean, like, it's been around for a while, and I knew people who were in it, but didn't get myself into it until like last year, really. It'll be now a year since I joined the house. But the house, honestly, like being part of that, being part of the queer community, it saved my life, you know? Like in a time where I was so low, like I joined the house after I went on my leave, you know? And I was like scouted at this like, it was this like event where it was an event for QT BIPOC people and mental health. And they were like, it was like to see like what are the gaps in mental health for queer, trans people of color.
That's amazing.
And so they did like a little runway moment there and just opened it up, and then my friend was like, I was like, okay, fine. So I walked runway and they're like, what? So white?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cool.
What's even crazier too is that the fact that like I had dreamt of and even created a music video that followed the premise of me as a main character, like, you know, being kicked out of a home for being queer and then being founded by a house, you know? And it never happened because it still had ties with my past music, and the homophobia and transphobia that existed there didn't exist for that video to come to life.
Right. So you had to let it go.
So I just had to let it go. But didn't know it was going to be my life 6 months later.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So tell us about your newest single.
Yes.
Yes.
Resilience. It's called Resilience. And unlike everything that I've released, usually that is like up-tempo house music, this is just like stripped back me and an electric piano. And just singing a song that I wrote in my like darkest times, and it's something that I like constantly like comes up in my brain when I'm just feeling really low, and I'm like, Andres, come on, like you're so resilient, bro, like, you know, like everything you've gone through to be here at this moment, at this time, at this place, it's like you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. You gotta trust your body, because your body has the instincts that know and guide you to where you gotta go, and trust yourself. Resilience and patience is key.
Can't wait to hear it.
Thank you so much for coming in Pupusas and Tacos with us.
Yes,
It's been a
it was
sincere
so
pleasure.
Good. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Amazing. Watch out for Andres Sierra.
Radio Luna Teatro is produced by Aluna Theatre with the support from the Metcalf Foundation, the Late Law Foundation, the Canada Council for the Arts, the Ontario Arts Council, and the Toronto Arts Council.
Aluna Theatre is Beatriz Pisano and Trevor Schwellness, with Sue Ballant and Gia Namens. Radio Aluna Theatre is produced by Camila Diaz Varela and Monica Garrido.
For more about Aluna Theatre, visit us at alunatheatre.ca, follow at Aluna Theatre on Twitter or Instagram, or like us on Facebook.
Follow and subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever else you get your podcasts. This podcast is recorded in Toronto, or Dagarondo, the territory of the Anishinaabe Nation, the Wendat Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and nations recorded and unrecorded.
We are deeply thankful to these nations for stewarding the land so that we might live in peace and respect for each other. As it is outlined in the Dish with One Spoon, One Pup, that all people who live here, settlers, indigenous folks, and others, must adhere to. One way to support indigenous stewardship and reclamation of their lives, cultures, and land is to support indigenous liberation movements in whatever capacity you can.
Right now, there is urgency around the situation with the Wet'suwet'en Nation in so-called BC. Please support their work to remove the RCMP from their lands. You can make a financial contribution to their camp and legal defense funds. Links are in the show notes. Miigwech and Nyawangoa.